As you know by now, I get a lot of comments on YouTube, but once in a while, one of these comments really makes you think. I mean, they've got a point, haven't they? Folks, and welcome back to another episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project. My challenge for 2023 to try and add all 160 PAL released PlayStation 1 Platinum games to my collection. And it is coming down to the wire now. We are in November and have just over a month to complete the PlayStation Platinum Project. And at the end of the last episode, we finished on 130 games in the collection, meaning we are on the road to the final 30. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and please subscribe. So I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. And if you've ever missed an episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project, fear not, I'll link them all below in a playlist. First things first, a little bit of housekeeping. Last episode I picked up this copy of Actua Soccer, but actually inside was a copy of Actua Soccer 2. But fear not, I jumped on eBay, picked up this little package here, and inside hopefully should be a platinum copy of Actua Soccer. Now, I am waiting to open this now, and I'm hoping I haven't been duped twice, and you tell me. Yes, we have the platinum edition of Actua Soccer, so now this game is complete, back to that 130. Unfortunately, when it comes to gaming festivals, markets and expos, I cannot get to every single one, much to my chagrin. But here's the thing with the PlayStation Platinum Project. I've had so much support from the retro gaming community and my fellow YouTubers. So much support that recently Marathon Gaming went to the Blackpool Play Expo and he actually did some platinum hunting on my behalf, and even Barry sent me a little bit of footage. He has done a separate video on this Play Expo and it looks absolutely amazing, and hopefully I'll add it to my calendar for next year. But for today, let's get into the pickups he so lovingly sent me for the PlayStation Platinum Project. Here is the care package right here, and you may see something sneakily hiding out the top of this box. It is this absolutely incredible Sackboy plush, which he sent as a little gift along with 2 platinum games. Now, I love these plushies, and this is definitely one of the best ones I've ever seen, and he's going to have pride of place just behind me here on the sofa. Let's get into the games in this package then. So we have 2 more games to cross off the PlayStation Platinum Project. And first is a game which I'm surprised I haven't found earlier, and that is Colin McRae Rally 2.0. This is such an iconic racing game, and one I presumed had a really large print run, but I just haven't come across it yet. So thank you so much, Marathon Gaming, for sending me not just this one, but also this second game in here, another game which I would have thought I'd have found by now, even though we're coming into the final 30, and that is Disney's Dinosaur. Now, I actually thought for a long while this was a European exclusive, wasn't available here in the UK, but evidently I was wrong, and that is one thing I love about the PlayStation Platinum Project. It's nothing but a learning experience. So thank you, Marathon Gaming, for gifting me these 2 games and getting us a little bit closer to completing the PlayStation Platinum Project. Let's carry on the community spirit of the PlayStation Platinum Project with not 1 but 2 more trades or buys from viewers of the channel. Now, first and foremost, an apology for this first one. I have scoured my social media and all of my messages to find the name, to shout the person out for sending me this one. So please comment below if you sent me this game, Pandemonium, for the PlayStation 1. This is a game I've been after for a long while, and this could be the most care somebody has ever taken to send a game. This one is actually in a box protector, and it is in absolutely amazing condition. I can only apologise for not being able to find your name. I hope you're just taking a slight break from social media, but thank you for sending me this one. Next up, once again, we have a game sent in by a viewer of the channel, and this is one which I have wanted for a long while. This is a game that back in the day I never played the full game. I only played a demo of this game because at the end of the day, when the PlayStation 1 came out, me and my friends only had a finite amount of pocket money to buy the games we wanted, and more often than not, it was the way we played these games was through these demo discs. At the end of the day, you could buy a magazine once a month for £5, where you could play normally about 9 different games, or you could save that money up 4 times over, save £20 and buy a platinum version of a best-selling game. And that's why I never got to play this game until now. Loaded. This was a game that spoke to me as like a young teenager, a violent top-down shooting game, much in the kind of feel of the original GTA games, but as I said, I have never played this game, the full version, until now. One of the main things about the PlayStation Platinum Project is going back and reliving or discovering these games for the very first time. So today, for the first time ever, I'm going to play the full game of Loaded. Here we go then, level 1 of Loaded. Like I said, I only ever played the demo of this game, and it's essentially a kind of top-down shooter game, and the objective for this level is to find the exit of the level. Now, it's a classic kind of thing, and it's told me no controls whatsoever. Okay, so circle changes the map. So let's just explore and try and find our way out of this first level. I think what really kind of stood out for me back in the day when this game was released all the way back in 1995 was the fact it was definitely a more adult orientated kind of, ooh, that's cool, kind of game. So like, at a time there was so many kind of cutesy platformers, and playing a game like this was just like a game for grown-ups. This was like violent and gritty and just super, super cool. And I just, yeah, this was what for me the PlayStation was all about. These kind of more grown-up, adult-orientated games. And even today, this one still looks really good just because of the nature of the beast. Like having that kind of top-down view, it just still looks and plays really well. And it's kind of surprising no one's kind of ever done like maybe a sequel to this game, or like a reimagining with today's graphics, because essentially the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. And the graphics still look good, don't get me wrong, but imagine this in today's graphics. This game could be an absolute beast. Recently, I was lucky enough to be invited onto your Unofficial Controller podcast, and Tom was an absolutely fantastic host. We talked about YouTubing, collecting, games, just the games we've been playing. It was absolutely fantastic, and he made me feel super comfortable in what was one of the very first podcasts I've done. But today I have good news. We have recently recorded a special PlayStation Platinum Project podcast. Now that is difficult to say, and even better, that podcast is available right now. We are dropping that podcast on the same day as this episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project. So if you haven't heard it yet, finish this episode and go and check out the Unofficial Controller podcast. But even better, recently I was able to visit Tom's game room. Tom's game room was absolutely incredible, and you are getting just a sneak peek on the side of the screen here, but fear not, we're going to be deep diving into his collection very soon in a very special episode of Meet the Collector. But even better than that, Tom has done so much for the channel: podcasts, games room tours, and now helping out with a copy of FIFA Football 1996 for the PlayStation Platinum Project. It amazes me how difficult some of these FIFA games have been to find for the PlayStation Platinum Project. I still have 2 FIFA games to find, and these are 2 games that I've recently missed on eBay. As it is coming to the end of the PlayStation Platinum Project, I fear that 1 or even 2 of the games that we miss may well be FIFA games. I will keep trying to find these ones, but like all the games left on the list of games I have to find, if you come across a copy of one of these games, please hit me up on my socials, and together we can all complete the PlayStation Platinum Project. So far in the PlayStation Platinum Project, here are 2 of the biggest lessons which I have learned. Firstly, there is very little information online about the PlayStation Platinum range. It just seems to be such an unloved range. There's just so little information. It was actually even really difficult to form the list, the definitive list of the 160 games which there are for the range. This is just the list I'm going off to the best of my knowledge. Secondly, I never knew when I started the PlayStation Platinum Project how many regional variants there are. Of course, the PAL region includes the UK, Europe, and also Australia, but there are so many versions of these Platinum games were only available in certain countries. But thankfully, With the power of eBay, today we are crossing 2 more of these games off the list. When it comes to the PlayStation Platinum project, I do try and use eBay as a last resort, but this is the thing. These are the games that there is a very, very minute chance that I'm going to come across, not just in the wild, but even at gaming markets. These games are exclusive to 1 or 2 countries, are super hard to find, and unfortunately eBay is the best way for me to cross these off the list. So the first game we have here is all the way from France. And the thing is, with these exclusive games, you would not think that an F1 game would be exclusive to France. This is F1 Formula 1 2001. There's a lot of ones in that. And to the best of my knowledge, this was only released in France. Now, like I said a few moments ago, there is a very small amount of information about the PlayStation Platinum range online, so I could be wrong. So if I am, please do correct me in the comments below. Next up, we have our first eBay purchase from the Netherlands. Now again, to the best of my knowledge, it appears that this game is exclusive to the Netherlands. And this game again is somewhat of a rarity. You would not expect for WRC FIA World Rally Championship Arcade to be an exclusive game. And I had to go on eBay to find this one from the Netherlands. Now, unfortunately, this one was quite expensive, but I do know, before it's even come, that unfortunately it does not have the manual, which is a real shame. But this is a game I've only seen once so far in the PlayStation Platinum project, so I'd take that one opportunity to cross it off the list. I'm sure some of you are screaming at your screens at the moment, but some of you may have missed the slight mistake in those last 2 pickups. That is because, unfortunately, even though I bought a PlayStation Platinum version of F1 Season 2001, I was sent a black label version. I have reached out to the eBay store, so hopefully I can get this sorted, because this is probably the first time ever that somebody will be disappointed to get the black label when they ordered the Platinum version. In this series, I've tried to shine a spotlight on as many independent UK gaming stores as possible. And right at the start of this series, we visited a brand new independent game store in my area, just down the road in Attleborough, Omega's Emporium. Now, when I visited this store, it was not yet open to the public. This was back in February. Now in November, this store has gone from strength to strength, and in a very special visit today, I want to revisit this store and see how far they've come in less than a year. Here we are then in Attleborough, returning to Omega's Emporium, and you will not believe what a difference 10 months can make. When I first visited, the store had some stock, but now it is absolutely rammed. And it is a thing of absolute beauty to see an independent gaming store here in the UK absolutely booming. This place has come on leaps and bounds in less than a year, and is just a prime example of how great an independent gaming store can be here in the UK. But this is what first caught my attention, these crates of PlayStation 1 games. Now, most of these games had come from a house clearance, and a lot of these hadn't been sorted through yet, so I was one of the first people to jump into these giant boxes, and there was a lot of games in here. Now, I had my fingers and my toes crossed that I could find some Platinum games that I needed for the PlayStation Platinum project, and you can see here there definitely was some Platinum titles, but as we come to the final 30, it is going to be hard to find the games we need, so let's hope we can find something here in Omega's Emporium. Of course, it's not just PlayStation 1 games here. I had a little look at everything, but primarily today we are looking for these PS1 Platinum games. And it's really hard not to get distracted. Even still, I'm looking for black label PlayStation games, but today I'm really trying to focus on these last 30 PS1 Platinum games. And unfortunately, so far in these crates, there's nothing here that I need, which is a real shame. But this for me is one of my favourite parts of hunting, the digging. Of course, when it comes to any gaming store, all of the best stuff is always hidden in the glass cabinet of dreams, and Omega's Emporium is no exception. Unfortunately, no Platinum games here, but we had some really good black label PlayStation games, some real heavy hitter PS2 games, like seriously, some of the heaviest of heavy hitters for the PS2, a smattering of PSP games, a really good selection of PlayStation 4, and even some PSP. But what really shook me was they had a really good selection of Sega Saturn games, and a massive selection of Mega Drive games, not just here but also on the shelves. There's some really good high-end retro here at Omega's Emporium. But fear not, there is even more PS1 games in Omega's Emporium. These are all the games that have been sorted, tested, cleaned, etc. from those baskets ready to go on the shelves. And there was an absolutely incredible selection here. Pretty much any PlayStation game your heart could desire. But unfortunately for myself, there was nothing I needed from the PlayStation Platinum range, which was a real shame. But at the end of the day, one of my biggest joys in life and with this channel is visiting these independent gaming stores and just seeing how they all do everything differently but equally in an amazing way. No pickups this time, but a great trip. So unfortunately we hadn't found any PlayStation Platinum games we needed in Omega's Emporium, but I did manage to find one in a local charity shop, which just goes to show you never know when these Platinum games are going to turn up. A bit of a fail as we've added nothing to the collection, but a great day out nonetheless. And that's the thing, I just love hunting, even if today's hunt was somewhat of a fail. Sadly, we are moving on from one fail to another. Now, much like me, I'm sure loads of you watching love the CEX roulette. The tension of never knowing if it's going to be a win, if it's going to be a fail, if it's going to be complete, if it's going to be damaged, or in my case, if it's going to be the Platinum release. And you can tell this box is open. That's because I just don't seem to be having very much luck opening these live on camera. Last time the footage got corrupted, and this time the box was soaking wet when it was delivered, and in my angst I ripped it open to find out if the game inside was okay, and yes, the game was okay. The box may have been damp, but unfortunately upon ripping into the packaging, again something that no one has ever said before, I was disappointed to get the black label version of Alone in the Dark rather than the Platinum release. Now this is a real shame, as this is a game which I have never seen before. I have set up a stock alert for so many games on the CX website. When this one flashed up, I was over the moon, but that's the thing with the CX roulette. You win some and you lose some. To end this episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project, we are sticking with CEX. That's because from the start of the PlayStation Platinum Project, CEX has been a core component in building the PlayStation Platinum Project. I have picked up countless games from countless stores all around the UK. But here is the thing, there is less and less games that I need from CEX. We are into the single figures of games, not just in stock, but games they even sell anymore. That's because year by year, month by month, CEX seem to sell less and less PlayStation 1 games. And in my recent adventures on the crazy world of CEX, I have visited around 10 CEX stores in the past 2 months. And I have managed to find no PlayStation 1 games I need for the PlayStation Platinum Project. So that takes us to what we saw at the start of this episode, that comment on the last episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project. As you may or may not know, in my other series, The Crazy World of CX, I am on a mission to visit every single CX store, not just in the UK, but in the world. And so far, I have visited countless stores here in the UK. But here's the thing, throwing back to that comment at the start of this video, if I'm willing to visit these stores, how far am I willing to go to pick up a specific PS1 game that we need for the PlayStation Platinum Project? Well, in today's episode, we have the answer. One of the games that we still have remaining to find for the PlayStation Platinum Project came up in a CEX, which I think is a drivable distance from me here in the fine city of Norwich. They had a game that we needed just down the road in Cambridge. So let's head to Cambridge CEX. And upon arriving in Cambridge, it did not take me long to find what we were looking for. In the window of the CEX store is a game which is fairly highly priced in the crazy world of CX, Digimon. We finally have this one for the PlayStation Platinum Project. Here it is then, folks, a game that has eluded me for so long. We finally managed to track down in Cambridge CEX. And it's actually surprising how expensive this one is. £42. It is actually one of the most expensive games that CEX sell for the PlayStation Platinum Project. But I'm just so glad to get this one crossed off the list. It's in absolutely fantastic condition. It is boxed, it is of course complete, and it's a real heavy hitter to cross off the PlayStation Platinum Project. There we have it then, folks. That was another episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project, and this time we only have 7 games to cross off the list. That's because we are getting deeper and deeper and closer to our final goal of that 160 games. With these 7 games, it takes us up to 137 games. We have 23 left to find on the PlayStation Platinum Project, even though this time we did add 2 more Black Label games unintentionally to the collection. Let's add the Platinum games to the shelf. It feels so good to cross one of the most expensive games of the PlayStation Platinum Project off the list and to add it to the shelf, and we really are getting close to that goal of 160 PlayStation Platinum games to make the ultimate PlayStation 1 Platinum Collection. There we have it then, folks. That is another episode of the PlayStation Platinum Project in the bag. And here is the thing, we are nearing the end of this project. There is 1 or 2 episodes left this series, and the stakes have never been higher. We are nearly midway through November, and I've given myself until the end of this year to complete the PlayStation Platinum Project. So I'll be publishing the list of games I'm still looking for everywhere. But if you or anyone you know has any of these games that I still need for the PlayStation Platinum Project or see them in the wild, let me know. I am willing to travel to hunt down the final games we need to complete the PlayStation Platinum Project. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and until next time, let the games begin. See you soon.